The silence of space is shattered by the roar of engines as an enormous fleet of alien warships approaches Earth. These ships belong to the Zerakian Horde, a terrifying race of warriors that no one dares to challenge. Known throughout the galaxy for their brutal conquests, the Zerakian Horde has left a trail of destruction wherever they've gone. The galaxy trembles at their name. Earth, once thought to be insignificant and weak, now faces the ultimate threat. Its defenses are small compared to the overwhelming power of the Zerakian ships. The people of Earth, though proud and resourceful, are on the verge of losing everything. Their weapons and technology are no match for the relentless Zerakian forces. Desperation hangs in the air. But one man, Captain Alex Riker, refuses to give up. A lone fighter, Captain Riker stands as humanity's last hope. His ship, the Phoenix, is armed with experimental technology that Earth's enemies have never seen. The moment the Zerakian fleet appears on Earth's radar, Riker's mission begins. He activates his ship's cloaking device, an untested, dangerous piece of technology. Suddenly, his ship vanishes from the enemy sensors. The Zerakian warships, confused and unsure of what's happening, begin to search for him. Riker's ship is completely invisible. He moves in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The Zerakian fleet, though large and menacing, has no idea what they're up against. Riker, using guerrilla tactics, strikes from the dark void of space, targeting vulnerable points in the Zerakian ships. His ship moves like a ghost, attacking when least expected, and then disappearing into the void once again. Each attack increases the Zerakians' confusion, and panic begins to spread among the invaders. They are not used to being outsmarted. They are the greatest warriors in the galaxy. No one has ever dared to oppose them and live. Until now. On board the massive Zerakian mothership, their leader, Warlord Xerak, watches the chaos unfold on a large monitor. His face is twisted in anger. They thought humanity was weak. Xerak growls. They dare to challenge us. Let's show them what happens when you anger the greatest warriors in the galaxy. His voice cracks through the ship's intercom as he orders his fleet to prepare for full assault. The Zerakian forces move with precision, launching waves of missiles and energy blasts toward Earth. Xerak is determined to crush humanity's spirit, but he's growing increasingly frustrated by the human fighters' ghost-like attacks. Back on Earth, the situation grows dire. The generals in charge of Earth's defense are gathered in a war room, their faces grim as they monitor the battle. The Earth fleet has failed to stop the Zerakian invasion. They have thrown everything they have at the Zerakian warships, but their defenses crumble under the immense firepower. The ground forces are ready to fight, but they know it's a losing battle. A quiet whisper runs through the room. We have one last chance. There's a weapon, something no one knows about, a secret that could turn the tide of the war, but it's not ready yet. The technology, still experimental, could be humanity's salvation, or it could be their destruction. The generals hesitate, knowing that launching this secret weapon could be their only hope, but also their last. Meanwhile, Captain Riker is making moves that no one could have predicted. With each attack on the Zerakian ships, he grows more daring. He is not just fighting for survival. He's trying to buy time for the humans to deploy their secret weapon. He knows that Earth's survival depends on him, and that the fate of billions rests in his hands. But the pressure is immense. Every move he makes could be his last. The Zerakian forces are closing in. Xerak orders his warships to form a blockade around Earth. His ships move in for the kill, their weapons aimed directly at Earth, but as they move closer, something strange happens. Riker's ship, cloaked and invisible, moves into the heart of the Zerakian fleet. He positions his ship between the giant warships, using the darkness of space as cover. The Zerakian ships are massive, their weapons capable of wiping out entire cities with a single shot, but they are unaware of the human fighter, hidden in their midst, waiting for the right moment. Captain Riker doesn't hesitate. He fires a direct hit at the weakest link in the Zerakian fleet. their communication center. The blast causes chaos, and Xerak's command structure is thrown into disarray. Without their communications, the Zerakian forces are like a ship without a captain, lost and confused. The humans, under Riker's guidance, strike again, hitting the invaders where it hurts. But the clock is ticking. The Zerakian fleet regroups, and Xerak's voice echoes over the comms, furious and determined. He orders the destruction of Earth. He wants to break humanity's spirit once and for all. This battle will be the final test, the moment when humanity must either rise or fall. Riker knows that he can't hold the Zerakian fleet off forever. His ship, though fast and evasive, is running out of power. The cloaking device is unstable, and the ship's systems are beginning to fail. But Riker won't stop fighting. He's the last line of defense, and he won't let Earth fall. As the battle rages on, Earth's generals make a critical decision. They launch the secret weapon, the one thing that could turn the tide in humanity's favor. It's a desperate move, one that will either save them or destroy them all. But the moment they activate the weapon, everything changes. The Zerakian forces, once confident in their invincibility, are now fighting a battle they didn't expect. The humans, with their ingenuity and determination, are proving to be a threat unlike any they've encountered before. The fear that the Zerakians had once instilled in others is now spreading to them. The secret weapon is humanity's last hope, but whether it will succeed or fail remains uncertain. As Captain Riker's ship prepares for one final, all-or-nothing attack, the fate of Earth hangs in the balance. The stage is set for the ultimate showdown between the Zerakian horde and the humans, an underdog battle for survival that no one could have predicted. Will humanity defeat the Zerakian horde, or will the Zerakian warlord Xerak have the last laugh? Only time will tell. The Earth was on edge. For weeks, the Zerakian horde had been preparing to invade, and humanity had little hope of standing against them. The reputation of the Zerakian warriors was well known throughout the galaxy. No one had dared to challenge them and survive. Their ships were massive, equipped with weapons that could obliterate entire cities with ease. Their warriors were ruthless, trained in the art of war from birth. Earth was not ready for a battle of this scale, and the generals and scientists knew it. But in the face of overwhelming odds, they had a plan, a desperate, daring plan that relied on their resourcefulness and the will to survive. The world's leaders had gathered, working in secret, to devise a defense strategy. Their military was outdated compared to the advanced alien technology that the Zerakian horde possessed. Earth's conventional weapons would be useless in the face of the alien onslaught. But in the darkest corners of their military complex, a new project was being worked on, one that no one knew about except for a select few. The project was called the Phantom Program. It was humanity's last hope. The idea behind it was simple but revolutionary: create technology that could turn the tide of war. Scientists and engineers had been working day and night, developing AI-driven combat exoskeletons and advanced cloaking technology. These exoskeletons were designed to enhance human strength and endurance, giving soldiers the ability to take on the toughest enemies. But the real breakthrough was the cloaking technology. This device was so advanced that it could hide a soldier or even an entire ship from the most sophisticated alien scanners. No one, not even the Zerakian horde, would be able to see them coming. The Phantom program was still in its early stages, but the military knew they had no time to waste. The Zerakian threat was imminent, and Earth's defenses were nowhere near strong enough to stop them. So they made a bold decision: launch a secret operation to test these new technologies. A small group of elite soldiers, including Captain Alex Riker, was selected to be the first to use the new combat suits and cloaking devices. This group was humanity's secret weapon, trained in stealth, strategy, and the art of surprise. Captain Riker had no idea what he was getting into when he was chosen for the mission. He had been a decorated fighter pilot, known for his skills in combat and his quick thinking. But he never imagined that he would be part of something as ambitious as this. The Phantom program was still a prototype, and no one knew if the technology would work. It was a high-risk mission, one that could end in failure, but Riker didn't hesitate. He knew that this was humanity's only chance for survival. The team was briefed in secrecy, their mission clear: infiltrate Zerakian outposts and gather intelligence. The idea was to strike quickly, without being detected, and gather as much information as possible about the Zerakian fleet. No one was to know that Earth was preparing for a counterattack. The goal was to stay hidden, to make the enemy think that Earth was weak, vulnerable. If the Phantom program succeeded, humanity would have the upper hand when the real battle began. The Phantom program, a combination of advanced exoskeletons and cloaking devices, had been humanity's last hope. Now, as the Zerakian ships launched their bombardments, the first wave of human soldiers wearing these new suits activated their cloaking devices. They disappeared into the shadows, leaving the Zerakian forces in confusion. The first mission was a stealth attack, aimed at disrupting the Zerakian fleet's control over the weapons systems. Riker's team, cloaked and moving like ghosts, infiltrated one of the Zerakian battleships. The stealth technology allowed them to slip past enemy sensors undetected. The exoskeletons gave them an edge in strength and speed, allowing them to sabotage critical systems from within. The enemy never saw them coming. The human soldiers worked quickly, disabling key weapons. The first mission was a success, but not without its challenges. The Zerakian outpost was heavily guarded, but the soldiers, using their cloaking technology, slipped past the enemy undetected. The exoskeletons provided them with enhanced strength, making them capable of carrying out missions that would have been impossible for normal soldiers. Riker and his team infiltrated the outpost, sabotaging their communications and stealing valuable intel without ever being seen. It was a risky operation, but the team had proven that the technology could work. However, the missions weren't without their casualties. During one of the infiltrations, a member of the team, Sergeant Bonner, was severely injured. The team was forced to leave him behind, but not before a quick, emotional farewell. Bonner's death weighed heavily on Riker's heart. He had lost many friends during his time in the military, but this loss felt different. The stakes were higher now. Humanity's future was on the line. The Phantom program had to work, not just for the survival of Earth, but for the fallen soldiers like Bonner who had given everything. The more they attacked Zerakian outposts, the more they learned about their enemy. The Zerakian horde was ruthless and cunning, but they had weaknesses. They relied heavily on their technology, and they underestimated the resourcefulness of humanity. The Phantom program had given Earth a fighting chance, but there was still much to learn. As the missions continued, the team grew more confident in the capabilities of their exoskeletons and cloaking devices. But Captain Riker knew that the real battle was still ahead. The Zerakian horde was not a force to be taken lightly, and despite their successes in the field, humanity was still at a significant disadvantage. The final test of the Phantom program would be the invasion itself. Back on Earth, scientists were working around the clock to improve the technology. They had made great strides, but time was running out. The Zerakian fleet was getting closer, and soon the invasion would begin. The generals knew that the Phantom program was humanity's best shot at surviving, but they were also aware of the risks. If the technology failed during the battle, Earth would be doomed. They had to be ready, and Riker and his team were the key to making that happen. The more Riker thought about the missions, the more he realized that the Phantom program wasn't just about the technology. It was about the people behind it. The soldiers who had put their trust in the program were the real heroes. They had risked everything for the survival of their planet. Riker understood the weight of that responsibility. He had seen the fear in their eyes, heard the determination in their voices. They were willing to fight for their homes, their families, and their future. As the Zerakian fleet loomed closer, Riker and his team prepared for the most dangerous mission yet. They had no choice but to fight back, to strike at the heart of the Zerakian horde. The Phantom program was humanity's last stand, and there was no turning back. The fate of Earth rested in the hands of Captain Riker and the elite soldiers who had risked everything. They were ready to face the Zarakian horde head-on. But as they prepared for the final confrontation, one question loomed over them. Would the Phantom program be enough to turn the tide of war? Or would humanity fall to the greatest warrior race the galaxy had ever known? Only time would tell. The air was thick with tension as the Zarakian horde's fleet descended upon Earth. The galaxy's most feared warrior race had finally arrived, and their ships were an unstoppable force. They were known for their brutal efficiency, destroying entire planets with ease. No one had ever dared to challenge them. But on Earth, there was still hope. The humans had prepared in secret. As humanity gained ground, pushing back the Zarakian forces and capturing key enemy generals, the atmosphere among the soldiers was tense but hopeful. Captain Alex Riker and his team were winning battles, proving that humans weren't as weak as the Zarakian horde believed. But as the war progressed, the humans began to notice something unsettling: glitches in their cloaking technology. At first, it was minor, small malfunctions that were easily brushed off. But then, the problems became worse. The cloaking devices, one of humanity's greatest advantages, were failing at critical moments. And during one of their most daring missions, where they planned to infiltrate a Zarakian command ship and gather vital intelligence, the technology malfunctioned at the worst possible time. As Riker and his team attempted to sneak past a Zarakian patrol, their cloaks flickered and briefly revealed their positions. It was enough to alert the enemy, and an ambush ensued. The humans fought fiercely, but the damage was done. They had lost their element of surprise, and the ambush quickly turned into a massacre. It was a heartbreaking scene, with soldiers falling one by one as the Zarakian forces surrounded them. Riker's heart raced as he struggled to protect his team, but the chaos was too much. The Zarakian assault was relentless, their weapons tearing through the human defenses like paper. During the ambush, one of Riker's closest soldiers, Bonner, was struck by a devastating blast. The explosion sent him hurtling through the air, his body mangled beyond recognition. The horrific scene played out in slow motion as Riker watched in horror. His friend, a loyal and brave soldier, was gone. In that moment, time seemed to stand still as Riker's world shattered. He reached out, trying to save Bonner, but the enemy's orbital strike had already claimed his life. The death of Bonner hit Riker hard. Bonner had been more than a soldier. He had been a brother, a constant presence by his side throughout the war. The grief was overwhelming, and for the first time in the war, Riker questioned their chances of survival. His team, once so strong, was now frail and broken. They had suffered too many losses, and the weight of Bonner's death was almost too much to bear. The emotional core of the story shifted here, as Riker and his soldiers had to grapple with the harsh realities of war and loss. But as the dust settled after the attack, a disturbing truth began to emerge. The malfunctioning cloaking devices weren't random. They were the result of sabotage. Someone within the human ranks had deliberately sabotaged their technology, allowing the Zarakian forces to strike when they were most vulnerable. The realization hit Riker like a punch to the gut. There was a traitor among them. The investigation into the sabotage led Riker and his team to a shocking discovery. A high-ranking officer within the human military had been secretly working for the Zarakian horde. This officer, trusted by everyone, had been feeding the enemy valuable information, compromising the humans' efforts from within. The betrayal cut deep. Riker, who had trusted this officer with his life, now felt the sting of treachery. How could someone who had fought alongside them all this time have turned against them? The traitor's identity was revealed in a tense confrontation. The officer, once a respected leader, stood before Riker and the remaining soldiers, unapologetic. "You should have known," the traitor sneered. "The Zarakian horde is unbeatable. You never had a chance. I did what I had to do to survive." The coldness in his voice was chilling, and it was clear that he had no remorse for his actions. Riker's anger boiled over as he confronted the traitor. He had lost friends, soldiers, And now, he had lost his faith in humanity's own leadership. But there was no time to dwell on the betrayal. The Zerakian horde was closing in, and Earth's defenses were beginning to crumble. Riker had to push past his grief and his anger if he was going to lead his team to victory. The death of Bonner and the revelation of the traitor forced the soldiers to come together in a way they never had before. The loss of one of their own ignited a new sense of determination and unity. The remaining soldiers swore to avenge Bonner's death and put an end to the war once and for all. They knew they had to fight harder, smarter, and more ruthlessly than ever before. The stakes had never been higher, and every soldier knew that they were now fighting not only for their survival, but for the memory of those they had lost. With the traitor dealt with and their resolve hardened, Riker and his team prepared for the final assault against the Zerakian horde. The betrayal had shaken them, but it had also made them stronger. They no longer fought as individuals, but as a united force, bound together by the memories of their fallen comrades and their unbreakable will to survive. The scene that followed was filled with raw emotion as Riker stood over Bonner's grave. The sight of his friend's resting place, a symbol of the sacrifice he had made, steeled Riker's resolve. He would see this fight through to the end, no matter what it took. The battle had taken so much from them, but they would not let it take their humanity. The Zerakian fleet was still out there, their ships hovering above Earth like a dark cloud. Riker and his team knew that this would be their final chance to take them down. They couldn't afford to lose any more soldiers, any more friends. They had come too far, and the cost had been too high. As the humans prepared for the ultimate confrontation, Riker's heart burned with a mixture of grief, anger, and determination. The Zerakian horde might have taken his friend, his comrade, but they would not take Earth. Not now, not ever. The stakes had never been higher, and the humans were ready to give everything for the chance to reclaim their planet. They had fought the greatest warriors in the galaxy, and they would not stop until the Zerakian horde was defeated, and the memory of Bonner and all the fallen heroes was honored. As the final battle loomed, Riker knew that the fate of Earth rested on their shoulders. The ultimate betrayal had shaken them, but it had also made them stronger. It was time to end the war and show the Zerakian horde what it truly meant to face humanity's wrath. The war with the Zerakian horde had reached its breaking point. Earth had endured relentless bombardments, and the human forces, although severely outnumbered, had fought with everything they had. The final showdown loomed, and the stakes were higher than ever. The Zerakian warlord Xerak had underestimated humanity from the beginning, but he was about to discover just how dangerous Earth's warriors could be. Captain Alex Riker stood at the edge of the battlefield, his thoughts a storm of grief, rage, and determination. The loss of his comrades, the betrayal from within, and the endless battles had taken a toll, but he had never once wavered in his resolve. This was the moment that would determine Earth's fate. The Zerakian mothership loomed above them like a giant, menacing shadow, its weapons ready to decimate everything in its path. But Riker and his team had one final card to play. In the midst of the chaos, Riker's team infiltrated the heart of the Zerakian mothership. Their mission was clear: plant a bomb in the core of the ship and destroy it from within. But they knew this would come at a great cost. The bomb was powerful, capable of obliterating the mothership and everything around it, but it also meant certain death for anyone who stayed behind to ensure it detonated. Riker stood at the forefront, his face grim with the weight of the decision. He turned to his team, looking into the eyes of the soldiers who had followed him through every battle, every loss, and every moment of hopelessness. "I'll do it," he said firmly. "I'm the one who will stay behind. You all have families. You have lives to live." There was silence for a moment as his team absorbed his words. Then, without hesitation, they stepped forward, offering their support. They had fought alongside Riker through thick and thin, and they knew what was at stake. The ultimate sacrifice was required, and Riker was willing to make it. As the bomb was set, the countdown began. Each second felt like an eternity. Riker shared a final moment with his team, exchanging solemn nods and silent goodbyes. He activated the detonator, and as the others made their way out of the mothership, he remained behind, watching as the Zorakian forces began to close in. His heart pounded in his chest as the countdown neared its final seconds. The Zorakian warlord, Sarok, was on the bridge of his ship, his victory nearly assured. His fleet had crushed Earth's resistance, and the last humans were cornered. But what he didn't know was that his empire was about to crumble. As the countdown reached its final moments, Riker sent one last message to humanity, a message that would resonate across the galaxy. We may be outnumbered, but we are never outmatched. Riker's voice echoed through the communication channels. His words were broadcast to every corner of the galaxy, a defiant declaration that humanity would never back down. It was a message of hope, of strength, and of undying resolve. The explosion rocked the Zorakian mothership, sending shockwaves throughout space. The ship's massive structure crumpled like paper, disintegrating into debris as the explosion ripped through its core. The Zorakian forces were thrown into chaos, their once unstoppable fleet now in disarray. Earth's forces, despite their losses, had succeeded. The Zorakian horde was no more. The aftermath of the battle was overwhelming. The Zorakian forces had been defeated, but the cost was steep. Many brave soldiers, like Riker, had given their lives to protect Earth. The survivors of the human forces, though weary and battered, stood tall. They had faced the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known and emerged victorious. The news of humanity's triumph spread across the galaxy. The Zorakian horde, once thought to be the ultimate power in the universe, was now just a memory. Other alien races, who had once scoffed at the humans as weak and insignificant, now saw them in a new light. The humans had proven themselves to be fierce, resourceful, and unyielding. They had fought not only for their survival, but for the future of their planet, their people, and their way of life. As Earth began the long process of rebuilding, there was a sense of hope that had never been felt before. The planet, which had once teetered on the brink of annihilation, was now safe. The survivors mourned the loss of their comrades, but they also celebrated their victory. The human spirit, tested in the crucible of war, had emerged stronger than ever. Riker's message, broadcast to every corner of the galaxy, became a symbol of humanity's resilience. It was a message that transcended borders, species, and time. "We don't fear your weapons. We fear nothing," Riker had said, and those words became the rallying cry for every human who had fought and died in the war. They were a testament to the strength of humanity's will, a will that could not be broken, no matter the odds. In the months that followed, Earth began to rebuild its cities, its infrastructure, and its military. The humans knew that they were now a respected force in the galaxy, and they would not let their victory be forgotten. But they also understood that peace was fragile, and they would need to remain vigilant. They had defeated the Zorakian horde, but there would always be new threats, new challenges to face. The war was over, but humanity's journey was just beginning. The final scene of the story shows a peaceful Earth, a planet recovering from the ravages of war. The cities are bustling with life again, and people walk the streets with a renewed sense of purpose. The scars of war are still visible, but they serve as a reminder of what humanity had overcome. As Riker's message continues to echo across the galaxy, Earth stands tall as a beacon of hope and strength. The Zorakian horde may have fallen, but humanity had proven that they were not to be underestimated. The galaxy had witnessed their victory, and now, the universe would know what it meant to face the full might of the human race. In the final moments of the story, Riker's voice is heard once again, this time in a quiet, reflective tone. "We did it," he says, "and we'll keep doing it, no matter what comes next." The screen fades to black, and the legacy of humanity's triumph lives on, a story of courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable spirit of mankind. The end.